everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon, and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out, and definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of a narcissist's biggest fears. Narcissists need us to believe that they are powerful and in control, but the reality is anything but. When you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you live a miserable existence. You live in hell, essentially. On my channel, I try and bring the reality of who a narcissist is to the light so that victims can live again. I know how painful it is to confront this. It's excruciating to confront the reality of your relationship. I get it. I really do. However, you can't change what you won't confront. And if you live a life where you constantly run away from the truth, you're never going to experience the freedom that you can have after narcissistic abuse. When I think about what my life was like when I was with my ex, I can't believe I survived it. And some people don't. The goal has to be getting on the other side of abuse. Truly, being where I am now and looking back, I cannot believe it. There is life again after abuse, and I really want everybody to taste that. Narcissists are evil, cruel people who will make your life a living hell if you don't take a stand and get out. So I'm hoping that today's video, understanding who a narcissist is and what some of their fears are, will help bolster you and give you the confidence that you need to start taking control of your life back. So the first fear I'm going to discuss is being exposed. It's ironic that when people think of a narcissist, very often the first thing that pops in mind is somebody admiring themselves in a mirror. That's what people think of narcissists, but that is not what narcissistic personality disorder is. The truth is that narcissists who have narcissistic personality disorder are constantly running away from themselves. They live desperate lives. Everything about them is phony. Everything about them is false, and they know this, so it keeps them constantly on edge. They can never relax. They're always afraid that they're going to be exposed. So they're like an animal that's constantly patrolling its territory. The reality that they invented is all that they have, and it's all phony. So this is one of the reasons that they treat the people closest to them the worst. If you're closest to a narcissist, if you're one of the people that live with them, you're their spouse, their child, you know their secrets. You could expose them. So they have to be the one in charge, and they will do anything to stay in charge. The worse you feel about yourself, the better. You don't recognize this right away, but when you're with a narcissist, when you're in a relationship with one, you are in direct competition with the narcissist, and they are people that win at all costs. They cheat, they lie, they steal, they step right on you. They must stay ahead of you. It's how they live their lives. So you're with somebody that doesn't mind you being hurt, that is okay with lying to you, that's okay with devastating you. Think about how you are in the relationship, how you feel about the person you're with. When I'm in a relationship with somebody, I want them to be happy and fulfilled. I would never step on this person or purposely try to make them feel bad, but that is what a narcissist does every single day. That is the person you are with. So being exposed is a huge fear of a narcissist. They cannot tolerate even the thought of it. Another fear, another big fear a narcissist has is public humiliation. They believe, because they're so vain and self-centered, they believe that everybody is focused on them. Everybody's looking at them. Everybody cares about them, even above themselves. Now, of course, nobody likes being publicly humiliated, but for a narcissist, their reaction to it is extreme. So I actually was publicly humiliated this week. So I'm going to tell you what happened to me, and then I'm going to tell you a story that happened when my ex was publicly humiliated. So I do this Bible group on Thursday nights, and a few weeks ago, at the Bible group, it's people know, like people at my church, they don't know everything that's going on in my relationship, but the people in my Bible group, for example, know that I'm in a difficult position and that I'm going to divorce my ex. So A few weeks ago, this elderly woman, she's almost 80, she called me up. She's in the group, so she knows me through the group. She called me up and she told me that she wanted to pray for me and asked me if I had a prayer request. So I told her, this was before I had seen my lawyer and found out that I actually can't file for divorce until I move. So I told her at the time, I thought I was going to be filing for divorce sooner than that. So I told her I was going to do that I was worried about it, and asked if she could pray for me. So in between then and the last week or so, she called me like 2 more times, and I spoke to her. She asked me how it was going, what happened. So I confided some information to her. I told her that my ex had mental health issues, that he was diagnosed as psychotic. I also told her that my children had experienced PTSD from some of the things that he'd done, that I had to call the police. So that was all fine and good until Sunday. So Sunday night, I was talking on the phone with Joe, and everything was great. I was really happy. I hung up the phone with him, and then I went outside, and I was going to close my chickens in for the night. So I'm walking outside, and I'm scrolling through my phone. I'm checking emails, and I got an email from her. Now, it wasn't just to me. It was a mass email, and in it, the title of the email was like prayer requests. So it started off where she's like talking about how she's been praying for people and asking everybody. So she sent a mass email to the church asking people to pray for these people that she was also praying for. So when she had called me to get prayer requests from me, she obviously had been calling other people too. So it said, so the email went along the lines of, Joan just had hip surgery. Please pray for her. You know, Bob is worried about his security at his job. Please pray for him. And then it said, Sharon, blah, blah. So she used my first and last name, is requesting, right? She is requesting prayer because she reports that her husband is psychotic and she's going to divorce him. And supposedly he was served with divorce papers on Friday. Her children, and then she named my children. She said their names, so-and-so and so-and-so have PTSD. I just about died when I saw this. I couldn't believe it. I was traumatized. I was distraught. So immediately I called this woman and I was like, why did you do that? What did you do? I was like, you used my name? You sent that out there to the whole church? And she couldn't take it back, obviously. I was like, never, ever use my name on something like this. I'm like, this affects my safety, my children's safety. And so she said to me, oh, it's a learning curve. And like, it was so funny. Like, she made this innocent little mistake. And it was just, it's a learning curve to know how to send out this mass email with my private information on it. I was absolutely distraught. I was so upset. In fact, I didn't even tell Joe about this until yesterday. I couldn't talk about it. I was so upset. I was taking sleeping pills to go to sleep. I was thinking about this all day long. I was absolutely horrified because I was afraid that my ex was going to find out, and my kids, I knew, particularly my son, he was going to be devastated that his name was used, that his friends would find out that he had PTSD, that this would be all over the church. I was so upset. So finally yesterday, I texted Joe actually, and I told him that I wanted to talk to him that night. I was like, oh, something really upsetting happened. Can I talk to you about it tonight? And he's like, yeah, of course, we'll talk about it tonight. Then I started texting him again. I told him what happened. So I sent him a couple of texts and I just blurted it all out, everything that happened. And I was so upset after I told him, because just getting it out, rethinking it, I was horrified. And then he responded and he was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? That's horrible. What the heck was this lady thinking? And then it felt even worse. And I was so upset. So then a little while later, Joe called me. And actually, let me just backtrack. So I was planning, in reaction to this email, I was planning on quitting the church, quitting my small group, and I was telling Joe, I'm like, how am I going to get the kids out of their church groups? They both do youth group, and my son does this group with guys, and my daughter does this girl group. So there were 3 groups total that they do. And I was like, I got to pull them out. How can I pull them out? Because I didn't want to tell my kids why I wanted to pull them out, but I wanted to pull them out. My son in particular would be absolutely devastated. He's so sensitive about stuff. And I get it. I mean, it's his age, and who wants people knowing this? I was like, oh my gosh, his friends are going to know. Someone's going to say something to them. And I wanted to pull them out of church groups until someone said, so that I could avoid somebody saying to them. And now my ex is not friends with anybody at the church, but there are two people, it's a married couple, that we weren't really like couples friends with them, but our kids are friends with their kids, so he knows them. And I was so afraid that he was going to run into them and that they were going to say something to him. Because the weird thing about my ex, and I can't understand why he does this, I live in New Hampshire. He does not live in New Hampshire. Now, I've told you in other videos, I don't know where he lives. I don't know. But he works in Massachusetts. He works in Boston. That's an hour away from where I live. There's no need for him to come to New Hampshire. He doesn't have a job here. He doesn't have friends here. He doesn't have family here. He doesn't see me. He doesn't see the kids. Literally, there's no reason. It'd be like if I just went to Vermont or Maine for whatever reason. I have no one there, no reason. But I spend every weekend there in my car. So, or in some cheap hotel. I don't understand why he's there. It makes no sense to me why he comes here. So I was afraid, and he's run into them before, because and he's run into them 2 or 3 times, and he's told me, oh, I was at the grocery store, I was at Walmart, and I saw so-and-so and so-and-so. He wants to tell me this. Now, I know he tells me this because he wants me to feel upset, but I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to run into these people and they're going to say something. And if you see my other videos, you know it's absolutely essential and of extreme importance that I just keep everything on the down low so I can get out of the state. I was absolutely horrified. So Joe called and he told me, and he made me feel so much better. He's like, Sharon, listen. He's like, you're not that important. People are not solely focused on you. Yeah, you're going to be the subject of gossip this week. Yep, that's how it is. It's like things like that have happened to me before. It's happened to other people. He's like, and then you know what? Next week it's going to be somebody else's turn. He's like, don't quit the church. Don't quit your group when this is support that you have that you need right now. He's like, talk to the pastor. That's his job. His job is to help smooth things over, to help people get past feelings like this. It was like, truly, he's like, it's a right. Nothing bad's going to happen. It's like, it's all going to be over. You don't have to pull your kids out of the group. Don't quit the church over this. I felt so much better. Before I talked to him, I was like ready to just curl up into the fetal position and just cry on my floor. I was terrified. I mean, real terror was running through my brains. I was so mad at this woman. I was like, what the heck? How could somebody be so stupid? But after I talked to Joe, I felt incredibly better, so much better. Now let me compare that to something that happened with my ex. So a couple of years ago, he got laid off. And when he got laid off, this was, I mean, it's, I shouldn't say I was going to say it was particularly horrible for us because I was a stay-at-home mom, so we didn't have any other income. But it's horrible for anyone when someone gets laid off. I mean, it is. It's scary. It's terrorizing. Now, of course, being a narcissist, my ex has never been good with telling me bad news. He just blurts it out. It's not, honey, I have to talk to you about something. Do you have a minute? I have some upsetting news, and then comfort me. It's going to be all right, though. We're going to get through this together. Never. He just blurts it out. So I was coming home from the grocery store, and he called me up. And it's funny because sometimes I'm driving by exactly where I was when he called me, and it's almost like I have like PTSD from it. I know that probably sounds weird, but when I'm at that exact spot, I always think about it. I remember what I was listening to on the radio, everything from that exact moment. He calls me, and he's like, I got laid off. Like, that was it. It wasn't, honey, do you have a second? Are you busy? It was just, I got laid off. I'm coming home. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Yeah, no, I'm not kidding you. This really happened. I'm on my way home. So I drove around for a little bit trying to like get a hold of myself. I went home. I told the kids. They were upset. I was upset. So then an hour later, my ex walks in the door. And it was not, I'm so sorry that this happened. Are you all right? Don't worry. We're going to get through this. I'm going to get another job. We're going to pull through. Like, maybe you could work. Like, nothing. It was nothing. It was just, he went straight into telling me how horrible it was for the person that had to tell him he was laid off. So he was completely focused. I can't remember this person's name. I'm going to just say that her name was Mary, but it wasn't. I don't remember what the name is. He's literally like, oh my gosh. So I was at my desk and suddenly Mary calls me into the other room and she told me that I was laid off. Can you believe how horrible it was that they made Mary tell me? Mary's going to be so upset about this. Then they had to walk me to my desk and escort me out of there. Mary saw this. Other people saw this. They were horrified. They were so upset that this happened to me. He was 100% focused on being humiliated at work because he was escorted out of there, because somebody had to tell him that he couldn't work there anymore. That's all he thought about. The kids, me, his real life didn't matter. Solely, he believed that people were so single-handedly focused on him that that was all that mattered. He was laid off for 6 months. Every single day. That's what I heard about, how horrible it was. The people at work are probably still talking about this. So I understand that when something traumatizing happens, just like I thought this with the church, before I talked to Joe, like, oh my gosh, everyone's thinking about this bad thing's going to happen to me. I knew once he said to me, Sharon, listen, yeah, they're going to gossip about you for a couple of days, and that's it. That's it. They're not going to think about it anymore. They're not going to be talking about this in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's going to blow over. No need to worry about it. You don't have to pull the kids out of anything. It's going to be all right. My ex was 100% focused only on other people and what they had to witness in relation to him. To a narcissist, everything truly is focused on them. Public humiliation is something that they can't get over because it affects their sense of self. He had this view of himself as this bigwig at work, and when it turned out that actually he wasn't a bigwig, he couldn't handle it. And he certainly couldn't accept that maybe he got laid off because he was a weak link at work. No. Instead, it was all about the tragedy for other people that they had to see this. Me and the kids, we didn't matter. We were inconsequential because we're the people, like I said when I talked about being exposed, we're the people that know his secrets. So for us, it doesn't matter how we feel. We have to stay below. Certainly, I couldn't start thinking less of him. So he had to make sure that I stayed in my lowly position. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is setting boundaries, or you being strong. Once you understand that a narcissist is actually the mental equivalent of a toddler holding their breath, the dynamic of the entire relationship changes. Narcissists feel entitled to use you. The truth that shocked me and many people in narcissistic relationships is that we are actually the strong ones. When I first started to have inklings of that, I couldn't believe it. And I never felt strong in the relationship. There was a time when I thought, oh my gosh, if I'm the strong one, my family's screwed. Because he had had me so down in such an inferior position. So when I discovered that, oh my gosh, I actually am the strong one in the relationship, I just couldn't believe it. My ex literally collapsed when I gained strength. And in fact, my own father doesn't believe that my ex is as bad as I say. I confided to my parents some things about my ex. I told them that he wasn't living at the house, that things were really bad. I told them that he was a narcissist. Some of the things he did, with the police, how he accused me. He tried to get me arrested. I told my parents this. And my father actually said to me, I can't believe that it's as bad as you say, because he's like, you're the one that kicked him out of the house. So if you kicked him out of the house, you're the one that wears the pants in the family, and there's no way that he's as bad as you say he is if you're the one that has all the power in the relationship. This is how my own parents see the situation. Now, of course, my father's a narcissist, so they have their own issues, but still, that was how my own family saw the situation. This is how it seems outside of the relationship. The narcissist can seem incredibly weak when they break down because you're seeing the real them. My ex pretended that he was a lion, but really, he's just the shadow of a lion. He has the actual strength of a kitten. Really, really, any strength, especially a covert narcissist seems to have, is yours. You're looking at your own strength. They take your strength and intimidate you with it. They take it and use it as their own. They will protest loudly, like a child. Like, think about, if any of you have parents, not parents, if any of you have children and you've been at a store, this has happened to me before when my kids are little, they would ask me for something. They would want candy or some toy or something like that. And if I said no, there were times when they would get absolutely obnoxious and they would yell or cry, scream, that type of thing. I would never give in to my kids if they did something like that. I would completely ignore them. If I was at a store and my kids wanted candy and I told them no, and they sat there and cried or yelled or anything like that, I completely ignored them and just moved on like they weren't doing it. That quickly put an end to that. That's what you need to do with a narcissist. If a narcissist, because they will protest when you start exerting who you are, you start acting like your real self, you start taking the power back in the relationship, a narcissist will protest loudly. If you give into them, they're going to take that power right back. It's all a ploy. All they can do is yell and scream and cry. That's what they do. Now, just to be fair, they could be dangerous if they really get upset. I mean, they could have my ex is a lot bigger than me. He's 3 times as my size, like really. He's like around 300 pounds. I'm like around 100 pounds. He could beat my ass, and he's done it before. So don't underestimate what they can do. But when it comes to mental strength, there is no mental strength. They don't have it. It's all pretend. So just like if you have a child at the store who's crying and screaming because they can't have some toy or some candy, you have to ignore them, and that is the power. That's how the kid learns that they do not have control. So if you give in to the narcissist when they start protesting because you're taking some of your strength back, they're going to throw the equivalent of a temper tantrum. But all you need to do is keep on what you're doing. Remember, the strength is yours. They're trying to take it back. Knowledge is power when it comes to anything, but really think about that when you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you start learning what's really happening. Now, I'm going to talk about the last one. This is kind of like a combination of two: leaving a narcissist and consequences. This is the worst thing you can do to a narcissist. Leave them and enact consequences, which leaving the narcissist is a consequence. To this day, now, I've been separated from my ex for 1.5 years. He doesn't know this. Now, I know that sounds absurd, and it sounds crazy to me too, but it's the truth. We've been separated for 1.5 years. He doesn't live at the house. He hasn't been to the house. The last time he was at the house was almost 1 year ago. He doesn't come to the house. I don't talk to him. There's no communication. He will send me texts, though. So what he's been doing in the last, 6-7 weeks or so, he will religiously send me these texts. So every morning he sends me a text that says good morning. And at the end of the day, he sends me a text that says good night. Good morning, good night, good morning, good night. Truly, I believe that he thinks that he is participating in a relationship by doing this. Now, he hasn't always done this. It's been the last 6 or 7 weeks that he's been doing this. He is in a mindset where we are still in a relationship, and it's only a matter of time until I invite him back to the house. So he is just waiting it out. He still wears his wedding band, and this is what he does. He still tells people, he pretends that we're together. He tells people things that we've done. He tells people at work. He told me, nobody knows that we're separated. Nobody he knows. He hasn't told anybody. For him, it's, he doesn't see his kids, but he's still a father. Like yesterday, he sends me this very bizarre email. I get this email from him, and he somehow got something from Barnes & Noble that was advertising a new book, and he said to me, does our daughter read this? Does our daughter want this book? And I didn't recognize this book. I was like, I don't think she likes that author. Am I missing something? No, but I got this email and I just wanted to know. It was weird. It was just bizarre. I was like, what are you doing? This is how he is. He doesn't understand. He believes that we're still in a relationship. He can't handle it. He doesn't handle reality. In consequences, just like leaving him, he doesn't understand that what his actions have led to these consequences. Kids not seeing him, me leaving him, me having to call the police. He hasn't noticed that the relationship is over. It doesn't occur to him. It's the most bizarre thing. And I want you to understand, if you're with a narcissist, there's no acceptance. They can't see reality. I literally don't live with this person. Joe's like, my God, he's going to be in for the shock of his life. He's not going to be able to handle it when he finds out that you are divorcing him what's he going to do? He's going to have a complete breakdown because his reality is that we're together. That's the scary thing about a narcissist. They really and truly are extremely mentally ill. The sooner you know this, the sooner you can move on with your life and have a real life, because the difference in your life after you've been with a narcissist, it's incredible. You gain your life back. It's almost like, I remember when I had my kids, so obviously I gained a bunch of weight when I was pregnant with my kids, and I missed my old clothes. I couldn't wait to fit into my old clothes. And I remember the day after I had my daughter, 6 weeks later, I went to my appointment, my 6-week checkup, and I put on my favorite pair of jeans and they zipped right up. I was so happy. I felt like myself again. There I was, and I was me. I was who I was before I was pregnant. You can be better than you were before you were in the relationship with a narcissist. You have all that ability. A narcissist does not. They're like a different breed of human. I mean, truly, they don't have any ability to empathize. They don't have any ability to be a decent person. There's something so wrong with this person. And if you stay with somebody like this, you're going to be destroyed. Your life is never going to be what it could be. And I want everybody to have a beautiful life, the life that you deserve. You don't deserve to be trampled on by a narcissist who is doing everything in their power to keep you in a bad place so that they can feel good about themselves. So thank you so much for watching this video. Truly, thank you. I very much appreciate it. I hope everybody is having a great day. I will see you on Friday's video. And then, of course, Joe and I are going to be back with you on Monday. So, again, thank you. Please subscribe if you haven't. And I will talk to you all on Friday. God bless.